If there's one medium you can show to a superintendent, to a designer, to a contractor, to the owner, that they will understand how much work is being done, that medium would be visual. And I can guarantee every one of you who are sitting in the audience today, you're probably using a few, if not all of them, across every single one of your job sites. We use the smartphones to take pictures. We all use time-lapse photography, 360 cameras, also drones, and of course laser scanning. What we wanted to do is to see how we can blend every form factor of this data and give you a three-dimensional time machine where you can always log into a system, whether it's web-based or desktop-based, be able to see a picture that is measurable. You can learn the patterns of performance on the job site, and you can bring attention to areas that are at risk for delays, minimizing change orders driven by subcontractors. Your practice can be completely transformed. When you upload a 360 video through your computer vision algorithms, we are automatically generating a floor plan. And the result of that, a measurable walkthrough. You can get immediate visibility for your directors of quality control without even being on site. Once you get that data, you can always trust the feedback that you get from your team, but you can visually verify that. That's the beauty of having something that's measurable. It's all about improving that coordination. Whether you're that service provider in the room, you're the contractor, you're the owner, taking advantage of your reality capture data, design, schedule in one integrated environment, and that transparency gives you a win-win opportunity for every party that's engaged in the project.
We'll be speaking about return on investment for a new form of digital twin, a form that will take advantage of your commodity images and videos you've captured into smartphone devices with 360 cameras, transforms them into 360 point cloud and floor plans against design. Design that can be completely 3D or can be completely 2D. Well, before I get into a discussion around the technical aspect of what I'm here about to present to you from Reconstruct perspective, I want to touch on the state of the industry. Last few years have been really exciting years for construction. The value in place has almost reached $2 trillion. And I actually have a number up on the screen for you, which is Dodge Momentum Index. As they show that we should be expecting a little bit more growth coming up in the next few months. One thing is spent a significant amount of money into construction. A large portion of this money is still going into the labor. By labor, I'm not referring to the workers that we have on the job site. I'm referring to our workers, all the engineers that we have on the job site, our managers, all these stakeholders. When we add up to a number of people that we have on the job site, which is pretty common across all projects that we engage in, you will see there's a lot of ways associated with how we are coordinating and communicating who should do what work on the job site. So if you do the math of that 35% waste I'm showing on the screen to that 40% to that $2 trillion total value when you place here in the United States, the opportunity that we have to address this coordination issue adds up to $280 billion. Now I want to paint a picture for you. How many fans do we have for football here? American football. All right, Super Bowl SoFi Stadium, the best stadium that I've ever constructed, finished for $5 billion. So if you add this coordination issue, every single year, we can add another 50 of these modern stadiums so we can enjoy Super Bowl events. But what does it mean for those of us who are engaged in construction project thing today? Pretty much everyone in them. That is unfortunately one out of every two projects that we engage in ends up being behind the schedule and over budget. We get to larger projects, any project that requires more coordination and communication, unfortunately the follow-up delays and cost overrun is across the board, every single one of these projects. For us to really understand what barriers are causing these delays and cost overrun, I want to take you back to how I'm managing the project. Every project will also start with a plan, discussion. We go and execute that plan, we get together perhaps on a weekly basis to study about this plan. The delta between the reality of what's happening, how we feel against that plan, and make adjustment. Doesn't matter if you're following conventional error value analysis practices, or you're looking to the more modern, lean construction and planning practices. It always starts with the planning, execution, checking, and adjustment. Now, if you look into the cycle, there are 4 specific flaws that are unfortunately causing our projects to be delayed. Number 1, over the past 2 decades, we've improved the way we plan and come up with schedules for our projects. Lean construction, pool planning, many of us practice that. But our observations show that success in implementation of these practices requires a champion, that dedicated person you have on the job site, perhaps your superintendent, that is constantly worried about coordinating activities and what needs to be done. Guess what? If you go from conventional practices, which is what you see on the left side of yourself, to what you see on the right left side, you would be added to the number of tasks that needs to be coordinated and communicated. In the absence of these champions, and because obviously many of our budgets are understaffed, it is very common for us to go back to conventional practices, and all we do is we reflect on the mistakes that we've, successes that we had on a weekly basis. Not only they're not really good at putting together plans, they're also not really good at executing plans. Over the past 15 years, we've been surveying superintendents on some of the barriers that are preventing them from executing their tasks day to day and week to week. And there are all kinds of reasons. Sometimes you show up, work plans are changed. Sometimes you show up, the work area is already being occupied by a different contractor. You underestimate the effort that goes into the execution of a project. If you look into these reasons, which I'm not going to get into the details, almost 80% of them are prevented. The problem that we have with the job site is our team is not aware of these problems in time to be able to reflect on them. And guess what? The reason has to do with how we manage and monitor performance on the job site. How many of you guys this week or last week walked on the job site that the first thing that you notice when the colleague would turn it on when they tried it? Pretty much quite a decent number of you in the audience.
This is from a modern electric vehicle plant in Michigan, a project that our company is engaged in. And as you can see, even in 2023, from the time that the problem happens to the time that we learn about the problem, it takes us a week to learn. Why? We wait for the subcontractors to show up in a coordination meeting, and we ask them to stand up and color code the areas that have been working on the site. So not only there's a delay, and these issues are being stacking up, unfortunately, this feedback, the feedback you have on the plan, goes into your 2D drawing. Where would you like to have that feedback? You want to have it back into the project schedule, right? That process of planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling. Unfortunately, many of us only have a few directors of scheduling in our companies, and we also have a few superintendents that are actively engaged in the process of creating master schedules, and they're always missing that feedback loop. So when it comes to updating the project schedule, we get together on a monthly fashion. We bring the director of project controls, maybe bring our VP of operations at the regional level, and we try to see if we can update the schedule based on our understanding of risk, as opposed to the data that we've captured all along. So I touched on 4 specific problems: planning, how we execute that plan, how we monitor performance on the job site, and then how we use that to update the plan. What we wanted to do was to solve this coordination problem by tapping to the data that we all captured, the reason that we're all here at the RCN event, the wealth of visual data that are being captured on the job site. Why? If there's one medium you can show to a superintendent, to a designer, to a contractor, to the owner, that they would understand how much work is being done, that medium would be visual. But there's not one form factor that we use on the job site. They're all form factors. And I can guarantee every one of you who are sitting in the audience today, you're probably using a few, if not all of them, across every single one of your job sites. We use the smartphones to take pictures. Sometimes the clients that we work with, they bring professional photography services to take pictures for us. We all use time-lapse photography. 360 cameras, extremely modern. I appreciate Todd's presentation earlier today and the innovation that he had on mounting it on a hard hat. We actually take advantage of that too. Also drones. Construction is the #1 market for drones today. And of course, laser scanning, one of the reasons that we are at this event. There's so much data, and we wanted to see how we can use that to close that feedback loop to the project plan. On the other side of it, we've obviously seen a wealth of 3D models being created as part of our MEP coordination as a basis of improved design practices. So we wanted to see how we can marry that form factor that is easy to understand, easy to explain against pictures. So maybe we can come up with one integrated view where you can always log into a system, whether it's web-based or desktop-based, be able to see a picture that is measurable. That means you can click on any 2 points, any 3 points, measure length, areas, and volumes. What you see on the screen is a 3D design. This can be 2D. In the case that I'm showing you is 3D. It's being tied against the project schedule, so it only shows you the elements that are relevant to today's date, and it contrasts against the picture. Guess what? By the time I've been speaking about this slide, all of you guys have been paying attention to the area that's been color-coded in red, right? So we can save time in our coordination meeting, immediately bring attention to the area that is at risk or has already been delayed on the job site. So if I can achieve this type of integration, one integrated environment where you can see the reality against the design, or what is there versus what should be there, how do we use that as a basis of solving that planning problem? Now you can call it a project controls workflow that has been driven by AI, artificial intelligence. Why? We are taking advantage of the design plus a schedule to create a more reliable plan. If you can generate measurable experiences from your images and videos, over time you're generating reality models, so you can call them 4D reality model, fourth dimension being time. Tuning that design tweaking that design against the reality over time. It improves the basis of coordination. And of course, if we can resolve the delta between the two and forecast to the future, we can have a more proactive approach to how we manage risk on the job site. So with this workflow, we really wanted to come up with a solution that is hardware agnostic by design, because every one of your job sites has many of these form factors. And there's not one tool that can always satisfy every use case you have on the job site. We already heard from all the panels we had in the morning that there's a right tool under the right process, under the right talents that you have on the job site to solve your use case. But here's the beauty of the spectrum that we have. On the more easy side of it, you have 360 cameras that we easily mount them over hard hat. They're really easy and quick to use. Drones, of course, a smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone in the room, if you don't mind raising your hands. Yes, and you have a camera on it, right? And of course, Matterport that we all use for photorealistic walkthroughs or laser scanning for high precision capture. What we wanted to do is to see how we can blend every form factor of this data and give you a three-dimensional time machine. A time machine that you can always go back and forth, regardless of how you've captured the data, how you walked on the job site, and transform that into that reality of the job site using a form of AI that you heard earlier today called computer vision, which is processing images and videos. Now, fast forward, this is what essentially means. If you can get access to your images and videos on the cloud, that data can be processed. Conventionally, you call that photogrammetry. More modern, we call it computer vision processes that can take advantage of both your perspective, flat images and videos, as much as 360. Over time, every time that you upload the data, you generate the reality of the job site. You have the design tied against the schedule, so that will be your as-planned representation against the as-built. Now, these environments can be twined against one another. So now I'm defining a new form, a real form of digital twin, that at high frequency you keep capturing images and you're twinning that against the plan. Now you will have one consistent coordinate system, one integrated environment where your design and reality are coexisting with one another. Now, there's a blend of capabilities here. You can achieve this completely automatically. You can do the survey-grade alignment all the way to the most interactive manual input. It is a function of the quality of the data you have. If you can create this experience, every one of the photographs that you have will be automatically overlaid with your plan environment. Looking to the lower left corner, the name of contractors that are shown on the screen, those colors are represented on the model. Immediately you can see who promised to do what work in each area every single day. The model carries the quantity of expected work. The picture in the background is measurable, so you see the actual quantity against expected quantity. And of course, over time, with user input, which I'll explain later, you'll be able to update the basis of this environment and have different work locations, work packages, or tasks color-coded based on traffic light metaphor. Behind the schedule red, on the schedule green, and you can obviously see the schedule at the bottom of the screen. Now, when you start practicing progress monitoring or production tracking over time, there's more AI capabilities you can tap into. You can learn the patterns of performance on the job site, and you can bring attention to areas that are at risk for delays. So you see, no longer we're worrying about our past, we're looking to work areas that are likely going to be delayed. That location color-coded in orange, the AI is showing us that that location, based on your past performance on this job, not trained on other project data, on your project data, is actually showing you that location is likely going to fall behind the schedule. Now, when you go into the coordination meeting, your practice can be completely transformed. You can be completely proactive by having a visual on the screen, color-coded based on risk, and now you see, we often joke about it. We say everybody's now paying attention because it's visual. It's speaking about a risk that hasn't happened on the job site, so everyone has an incentive to be part of this conversation and solve this problem. Now, fast forward, we've had the opportunity of implementing this on thousands of job sites as a standalone solution by itself. Of course, you can take advantage of whatever data, common data environment you have to bring that into the system. And over time, this sort of visual production management system has been used on 3 workflows. And I'm going to speak about those RIs with you in just a moment. One, strictly if you have your images and videos, that historical record you're creating in one integrated environment, what the value of that looks like. the ability of integrating against design with 72 different file formats, so you can always do quality control. And of course, production tracking, the element of a schedule. For field access, mobile apps that work offline, and of course, entirely web-based. By design, this is offered with unlimited number of users because we want to be solving that coordination and communication problem that I mentioned before. If you start thinking about charging based on every single one of these solutions, then of course, that problem doesn't get solved. Now, over the past 7 years, the form factor of these devices, at least for us, has changed. We've been on thousands of job sites. And in early days, outdoor documentation was dominantly on drones. But these days, we actually see a lot of 360 cameras being used. The reason for that is pretty simple. It's quick and easy to use that. You already carry that in the pocket. You probably don't even need to have a license to operate that. And as much as you can use the drone, you can complement it with a 360 documentation. The solution that you see on the lower left corner is one of our partners. It's a solar-powered camera that you probably already use on your job site. You can take advantage of that as long as that camera is moving. For example, mounted on a crane, you can actually mimic exactly what a drone does. So if you have a job site in dense urban areas that you can't fly a drone, you can use that camera and automatically and every day gives you that ortho photo, it gives you the point cloud, and of course the integration of that against design and the schedule. Now here's an example of how these capabilities have scaled up. Now I'm going to show you a combination of indoors and outdoors. Many of you have probably seen outdoors. What is unique here is that the client, the owner for the project, was out of state of Washington. The project was in Northern California, and they wanted to have remote visibility to be able to quickly monitor how much work gets done. As you see at the bottom of the screen, there are many orange dots. Every single one of them shows one capture that was done with a drone specifically throughout that period. So again, all you need to do is you simply click on the location. Instead of having your superintendents worry about a point cloud, they can get access to an image interface that image by itself, as you see on the screen, is directly measurable. You can go ahead and measure length, areas in volume. Of course, it's not just driven by the quality of the point cloud. Now, this is the part that has been really exciting for us. Over the past 6 years, we've actually scaled the ability of taking the same 360 videos that I guess pretty much all of you are probably using these days, and we've transformed that into what we call maps of the job site. Same concept as you heard earlier today. You simply take advantage of one of these 360 cameras. It's mounted on a hard hat. Superintendents love it because it's quick documentation. You walk, captures what's in front of you, left, right, top, bottom at the same time. Here's what we've been able to do with that. When you upload a 360 video to your computer vision algorithms, we are automatically generating a floor plan that just captures the reality of the job site. Then if you upload your 2D design using AI algorithms, the 2D design and the video floor plan would be automatically aligned against one another. And the result of that, a measurable walkthrough, the same 360 walkthrough in a form that is measurable. And of course, you can download your 3D point clouds and mesh models, what we call Reconstruct, image-based 3D reconstruction. So here's how that experience would look like. A form factor that you've all seen, commonly available. The blue donuts you see on the ground are frames that are extracted automatically from the video, so nobody's standing. You just walk around and you videotape. On the lower left corner on the screen, you see a navigation map. The navigation map shows you the floor plan that is automatically generated from the video. So far, there's nothing more than just a video as an input. Now, you go into any of these image views. As I was transitioning, you probably noticed that there was a point cloud in the back of the scene, and voila, you can actually go ahead and directly measure off of the 360 photo, right? Or 360 video. Now, of course, the resolution of your camera, how close you're keeping the camera against the surface, the entirety of that process impacts the quality of the experience. But now you can actually kind of be able to automatically teleport yourself into different areas. Now, everything is organized around work areas. If you want, you can bring the 2D design. Now, what has been commonly practiced over the past few years is to upload the design and then perform the capture. That's not what you need to worry about here. You can perform your capture. If you have 2D drawings, you can bring it back into the scene and have automated alignment of the 2D against the video. Here's the quality of the point cloud, so you can kind of get a feel for what you might be able to generate from this experience. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick overlay of 3D on top of it. So first, you can actually see this in the context of 2D. You're looking at a floor plan that is automatically generated from the video, so it's a projection of the mesh model from that 360 documentation. And in a moment, you're going to see that overlaid against the design. Again, a process that for a lot of quick and high-frequency captures can be really meaningful. Now let's go back to the 3D environment, and let's see if we can overlay the BIM model. Now, most of the job sites that we're engaged in, MEP coordination is evolving during the construction phase, as it should, especially in early phases. So the idea here is that by tapping into your common data environment, the same design can be overlaid against the reality. So from any given camera viewpoint, you can actually see the design not just side by side, but as an overlay. Why? Because your data is measurable, and because there's a point cloud sitting in the back that can use as a basis of alignment between the reality and the design. So again, I'm not going to make an attempt in this video example to show you the measurement, but you can filter and say, you know what, I want to see that drain pipe measuring against the picture and whatnot. Now, over time, we've actually scaled this capability. This is the most dominant form factor of capture that we see coming to us. Here's an example of a very small site, but the beauty is that this client ended up using our solution on 650 different stores at the same time over a span of roughly around 3 months. So it was a massive undertaking, and all it takes is you just provide a 360 camera to someone, they walk around and they document it, and you see the point cloud from the 360 video overlaid against the 2D. If you want your superintendent to walk through the site, they don't need to see the point cloud. They can still get access to the 2D, that walkthrough experience, and it's measurable. You see I'm flipping between the two so you can see what makes it measurable as a base of the scene. Now, over the past 5 years that we brought this capability, we've seen all kinds of cases study. Immediately your attention goes to quality issues. We spend all that energy on our MEP coordination, and of course, you always like to do that laser scanning, but how often would you be able to do that? What if you do your laser scanning in your milestone inspections, and between your inspections, rely on a 360 video and do daily captures? You see, your video frame is automatically overlaid with BIM, and I'm sure you noticed that the duct is going, or the sprinkler system is going through the duct. Bad installation that happened on the job site. Again, you can get immediate visibility for your directors of quality control without even being on site. Here's an example of pre-placement of concrete inspection, very common. We use a lot of laser scanning. I've seen that a lot. But here in this case, this is a specific example. You're looking at a combination of drones and smartphone videos. Drones, because it's easy to fly over, you don't have to damage the integrity of the structure. But of course, if you have access to walk, you can simply use your smartphone and videotape that site. So here's a point cloud, and here's the overlay of the design. Again, this is the beauty of having it overlaid and measurable. Even if it's off by ½ an inch, it can immediately bring your attention to areas of issue. On the screen, you can see the sleeves deviated against the design. Now, this is a healthcare facility. Each sleeve, would cost you around $1,500 these days. And maybe, drilling through concrete, another $10,000 penalty. Right here, looking at $17,000 quality item, right? A rework item that can be caught because of high-frequency capture. So you're no longer just limited to your laser scan capture, and you can complement it. Now, given the popularity of this feature, we decided to also extend it to smartphone videos. Now, these days, a lot of solutions that are coming out that tap into LiDAR that you typically get on your iPhone or some modern Android devices. The idea was to see if you can tap into your existing hardware, the one that doesn't have LiDAR. Now, why? Because every superintendent you have on the job site has a smartphone. It's easy to use. Everyone knows how to operate a smartphone. And guess what? These devices actually have really great sensors. If you compare them against the 360 cameras, you can get far more resolution and quality of capture with your smartphone. And if you tap into the LiDAR, for example, on iPhone, you always have a limited range. But if you have an iPhone that captures 12, 16, even these days 48 megapixel, you can actually generate something that is really high resolution, and that can actually contribute to better point cloud. What are the use cases? 4. Before placement of concrete, have someone walk around and quickly videotape. Processing is usually in order of a few hours. You can actually even optimize it to be in order of 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how you process the data. The video goes into the system and gets processed automatically aligned against the design. So for your team, is entirely touchless. On-the-ground utilities, we see that a lot for industrial jobs that we engaged in. Involves inspection, the example that I'm showing you, and that's just a 10-second video capture. And of course, under-ceiling MEP modules. As much as we generate ortho photos and floor plans, you can actually see under-ceiling ortho being generated, and you can use that against your design. So it's really nice because it complements. It's not a replacement. It complements what you already do with your laser scanning, what you already do with your 360. You can always bring that quality control through your smartphone. Now, the last item, getting into the schedule piece. This is where 3 types of data coming together. Your visual data, your design data, and again, also schedule data. Here's a $1 billion project in Florida, one of examples of projects that we engaged in, where the owner rep is taking advantage of the software for progress tracking purposes. You see the schedule. Schedule is tied against a design model that has high LOD per model discipline. That's one of the items I want to highlight. It's automatically brought into the same coordinate system. So every day, depending on how much you put into the solution, you can actually see what is on the schedule, what is at risk about being delayed, and take advantage of that wealth of data. Using the solution as the base of project controls, once you get that data, you can always trust the feedback that you get from your team, but you can visually verify that. That's the beauty of having something that's measurable. We always get numbers from our superintendents, % complete. But now you can actually use that basis and say, you know what, I'm actually seeing the actual quantity, and I want to use that to better update the plan. And last item is also payment verification. Many of us are relying on our payment applications being processed by the clients. Average of our industry takes about 2 to 3 months for every payment to be process. Now, with the interest rate that we have in the market, if you can expedite that process, you might be able to save some money. And here the idea is that you provide that visual proof to the client, let them visually verify the work, and expedite that payment process as base of the work. Now, let's bring all of it back into the action. It's all about improving that coordination. Look into the dynamic of this meeting. A superintendent is running the meeting. A superintendent would never use BIM, let alone 3D point clouds or a digital twin. The system has already provided 5 interfaces saved up on the screen, organized around risk. What is at risk of being delayed? And you see, the focus is about the future. It's no longer the same coordination meeting that we go around the room and we start singling out the contractors that are sitting in the room discussing our past. Looking forward, the subcontractor is standing up and he's engaged in a conversation. That podium deck is about to be delayed. If he changes his work location, he maximizes his own productivity, he makes more money on that job as much as it helps the project. A win-win opportunity for every party that's engaged in the project. And that's the quality of having that transparency. Now, over the past few years, as we've been, bringing these many different ways of capture, providing one consistent experience, we've often been questioned which one is the right tool for the use case that we have. So we had the opportunity of partnering with one of our partners, Oracle, Faro Technologies, that is present in the room, Skydio, DJI, Boston Dynamics plus Faro, and we did a very comprehensive experience at Oracle Innovation Lab in Chicago to explore what it means for us to have a tool on this given process with the right quality of the people or whatever resources we have on the job site for each of our use cases to be able to offer that integrated and measurable experience. So if you have an interest, I know there's a sheet that's going around. It gives you a link that you can download that report offered through our partner Oracle. That basically shows you that there's a place for every one of these solutions as long as you know when, under what condition, and what kind of use case you want to tap into the resources you have on the job site. The last item I want to touch on is that ROI that I promised, the impact of this transparency. Now, you see, when we started, our focus was entirely on improving that coordination and communication. Because many stakeholders benefit from this solution, they've always been looking to this from 2 different levels. What is the ROI at a project level? And what is the ROI at a persona level? What is it in it for me that I'm on this job site? So, fast forward, having that site awareness. Many of you have already practiced reality capture through COVID. It's already shown how we can take advantage of that just by, bringing our stakeholders on the job site. Quality verification. This is actually something I'm really proud of. Minimizing change orders driven by subcontractors. Now, when you have transparency that you show the design, you show the reality of the job site, you can minimize this. This is with a car manufacturing company in Michigan, we're able to demonstrate $1 million saving on $100 million. When you see the design against the reality and use that as a coordination, there's no brainer. You can potentially save these issues from happening. What is the value to that director of quality control? Now, for this team that we're engaged in, we used to have a director of quality control monitoring job sites every few weeks. You can actually provide higher frequency inspection and at the same time have some time saving. So 1 day out of the month of full-time employee saving. On schedule delivery, this is the moment that you bring the element of a schedule. We looked into measuring that based on percent plan complete, which is a measure of health of how good your schedule is being performed on the job site. We're able to show that from a PPC of some 36%, we're able to bring it up to almost 80%, which is a high-performing job. I mean, we didn't do anything. When you have actionable insight, you have visual data, of course, you can improve the base of the work. And of course, for those superintendents, what is it in it for them? We always chase subs for numbers. Every single day, phone calls, right? We're going to their trailers, asking them, where's your daily report? Where's the daily report? It's 4 times faster, and every team is understaffed. You're letting your superintendent leave the job site on time, as opposed to having him stay around till 7. Post-construction, our solution is being used a lot for inspection, but pretty much every active project that we engaged in, a lot of clients have asked for keeping the data for as-built documentation purposes. The number one use case today remains to be liability as opposed to facility management, but we do have clients that preserve access to the data for 10 years post-construction. Taking advantage of your reality capture data, design, schedule in one integrated environment, and that transparency gives you that win-win opportunity for every stakeholder in the project. Whether you're that service provider in the room, you're the contractor, you're the owner, there's something in it for you to tap into your data, transform into actionable insight. That's all I had to present to you. Thank you.